Oh my gosh. Hey, everybody. In today's show, in a world where the journey to success is often a solo climb, our guest today reminds us that the true path to personal advancement lies in uplifting those around us. And it is an absolute pleasure to introduce today's guest, Dom Brightmon. Dom isn't just a certified trainer with the Maxwell Leadership Team, but also a best-selling author, a dynamic speaker, and beloved host of the ongoing podcast, Going North, which has been ranked in the top 2% of all podcasts worldwide. And from a young age, Dom embraced the power of words, both spoken and written, as journeyed from a state-level speech competition winner to a best-selling author and renowned podcast host reflects his passion for personal growth and helping others. His mantra, advance others to advance yourself, guides his work as he empowers individuals around the world to unlock their inner value and write their own story. I love that. Coupling his accolades as a distinguished Toastmaster with his expertise as a certified trainer in the Maxwell Leadership Team, Dom brings a reservoir of knowledge and transformative experience to the table. So prepare yourself, get ready for an amazing event today. And let's get ready to talk to Dom Brightmon. Here we go. Dom, you're an amazing guy. I love that you are here on the show today.
Hey, you have an amazing show, my man, and I'm honored that you asked me to be on the show.
I can't wait to learn from you. Let's jump right into it. So, just first of all, for people who don't know you, let's start by sharing just a little bit of your, I guess, journey and what led you to like where you are.
Sure thing. Funny enough, I like to say that I'm a quiet kid who found his confidence. Grew up in the church and was around my friends in the neighborhood and was pretty okay in school. And then out of nowhere, 2012 happened. Got a setback sandwich of having to be a caregiver for my father, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Following month of getting into a car accident, of no less, and still coming out alive, thank God, but still a little broken on the inside because, like, what the heck happened? And the personal life of mine showing up in a professional life when I had a meeting with the boss where she was like, "Hey, Dom, you're screwed up in here, and there. Oh, yeah, and here too, by the way." And it's like, you got to shape up here. We got new folks coming in, new employees. You've been here for 5 years. Like, you're better than this, man. Like, folks would look at you as a leader. And I'm like, wow, man, this meeting sucks freaking like hell. I'm like, well, I guess I got to shape up then. But lo and behold, subconscious mind caught the word leader and ended up reading some books about leadership a couple months after that meeting happened, transformed my life to where I ended up deciding to become a voracious reader, with nonfiction material being my main material of choice to read, and trying to implement at least one thing from every book I read, and sometimes re-implementing because I've read on average a good 50 books over the past 10 years now. I just still can't believe it's
It's a lot of
2013.
books, my man.
Yeah, and with all the nonfiction stuff you read, it's like, hey, if you're gonna read real stuff, it's gonna make you a really better person. And the thing is, it actually happened for me where it's like I went from reading the books to eventually writing the books, and then helping others to write books, and then interviewing others who decided to write books, and
Yep.
then inspiring others to become authors, and even starting podcasts of their own. And the name of the game is to really just help others to unleash their next level of their inner value, because every single person listening and watching right now has value right now. They just need to unlock it if they haven't discovered it yet, or take it to a higher level and metaphorically put weed on it so they can be sky high when it comes to knowing what their inner value is and sharing it with the world.
I love that, man. That leads me right into like advance others to advance yourself. That is like short and powerful. Like, how did you come up with that? What's like the story behind it? That is brilliant.
Sure thing. Well, Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite speakers of all time, he's known for the wonderful quote that if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want.
I love that.
And I love that quote so much. I love the Southern drawl, his storytelling ability, and I still listen to him to this day every now and then. Probably at least once a year I have a Zig Ziglar phase where I just listen to his stuff. And one of the hundreds of books I was going through was The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And in that wonderful book, in a chapter called The Advancing Man, it talks about the person who goes into business looking to help other people, especially when they're networking with other people, and helping them and putting them at the forefront of your mind as opposed to just yourself, because we get more out of the world by what we give to the world in terms of our fellow human beings. Because at the end of the day, we're really here for each other. Humans need humans. At the end of the day, I know some folks who may be ultra introverted and don't like to be around people be like, oh God, there's people out there. They're going to people it up too bad. And it's like, don't worry. Like, there's still some good people out there. And it led me to realize, wait a second, an advancing man does this, and you help other people get what they want. Advance others to advance yourself. So it's
Yeah.
all those ideas just came together in that simple phrase. And that became my mantra for life because I like helping other people. And in turn, it's come back to me, and not on a perfect timetable, because that's to be determined. Like, you really can't put a clock on some things that you give out into the world. You just have
No.
to give and just let things happen. You don't have to, like, okay, I gave somebody this amount of money, or I gave them this exposure or whatever. Like, I'm gonna expect this back in like 3 weeks so they can pay my light bill. Like, no, it's not like that. It's actually just giving with no expectation of return, and then just being surprised, amazed, and grateful for the results.
How do that ties into, I think, a lot of people think they're going to give, they're looking at their own self-interest instead of like being selfless and looking at helping others. You know what I mean? It's just like that whole idea of boosting up others to like get where you want to go. And I would even say so much as not even just to get where you want to go, but give to make things better, and it'll pay itself back sometime. You're like, what if you've seen that? I know you've seen that. And give us some examples of how that's happened for you.
Sure thing. Funny enough, it was actually a few years ago when I first published my book, and I was able to get on the news, local news station, to promote my book. And
Mhm.
I was so happy about that opportunity. And one friend I was networking with, he was basically Maryland's number one LinkedIn expert at the time as his business before he moved on to something else. And he was wanted a chance to get on the news, like, hey, you got any contacts? And it's like, you know what? I was a little hesitant at first. I'm like, you know what? What the heck? Like, he's a good guy. We went through similar things because we both went through our stages where we both have car accidents. He had to take care. He had to be a caregiver for his mother, and he
Mhm.
also joined Toastmasters International. He was giving public speeches like me, and competing in speech contests. And we had similar stories, and we had similar goals for growth. And I was like, yeah, okay, here's the contact for that person. I'll make an introduction for you. And he was able to secure multiple spots on the news after that, a little LinkedIn series to get folks acclimated if they're searching for jobs, and other tips to use LinkedIn for success. And down the road, he connected me and linked me up with at least 30 guests to be on my podcast Going North back in 2017, when it hasn't even started yet. I was probably about a month or shy away from eventually starting it, but him introducing me to all those people gave me the fire to really finally get over that finish line of just starting, because sometimes folks are so focused on the summit of success, the finish line of wherever that may be, that they forget to start. And when you really enroll other people in your success by, in my case at that time, interviewing other people, and it's like, okay, well, now I'm kind of responsible for putting their content out there because this is some darn good content. I can't
Yeah.
just sit on it forever. And I'll be like, hey, so where's that podcast episode? You said I was gonna upload it this date. I'm like, oh yeah, it's here. I had a little technical difficulty. And then it eventually came out, and then after a while got into the rhythm of things. And that really was a big setup for success, because like that was the first thing that came to mind, because he wanted to repay me for helping him get that opportunity to get himself known and his business known out there at the time. And I was like, hey, he was a good guy, and we still have a great relationship to this day, indeed. So yeah, that's really all about advancing others to advance yourself, because I
Yeah.
didn't really think to ask him for introductions to folks to be on the show possibly. That wasn't even on my radar. I was still dealing with some self-doubt of, oh man, what the heck am I gonna do? Like the podcast seems so freaking huge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you kind of nailed it, man, because you are now talking to authors from like all over the world. And that did you mean for that to be your niche, or did you fall into it, or is that just like, you know what? I like writing, I'm gonna help other people who are writing and get them out there.
In a way, I kind of fell into it. Short, fun book, anything You Want by Derek Sivers. He mentioned how he started
Mhm.
cdbaby.com back in the day as a site for independent musicians to sell their music.
Yep.
And he made it just for independent artists. And that helped me to really get closer to crystallizing my vision for the show. Because originally, my show, the Going North podcast, was going to be called the Mr. Podcast, the Mr. Music and Reads podcast, where I interview independent artists and authors. But I decided to drill down even more. And after talking with a coaching buddy of mine, she said, "Hey, you got this book and brand called Going North. Why don't you use that?" And I was like, you know what? You're so right. Because that's one of the, I wouldn't say it's a sin of the creative mind, but it's one of the drawbacks of having a creative mind is that you create so much that
Right.
sometimes you don't give your past creations time to actually blossom and flourish and actually grow and get better with time. And I was about to make that mistake, but sometimes you need those great folks around you to help remind you of even just the small things of what you've already done that they eventually become big things. And it's really grown into something now where at the time of this conversation we're having today, about a good 670 official episodes out, on track to 30 shy of 700, and the goal for the Going North podcast right now is to interview 1,000 authors across the globe. So it's gotten so
Dang.
big.
That's awesome. Awesome. One of our viewers and guests and people I just adore, Katie, has just said, I love this. Wonderful philosophy. Love it. It is a fabulous philosophy. And if more of us like around the world would actually live it, this would be a better place. Michael Jackson. Okay, so
Tell them it's all human nature, right?
oh man, we could go on. I've got so many. Oh my god. So yeah, I think a lot of times people see helping themselves are not helping others as a burden, you know what I mean, instead of the gift that it actually is. And I seriously truly off, if anyone asks me what do I love doing, it's like helping others. And in a way that's actually, for me, it's almost selfish because it makes me happy. And I'm guessing it makes you happy too, helping other people. Is that right?
Heck yeah, because it keeps you light as a feather. Like when you
Yeah,
help
it
other
does.
people, it makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. I can't imagine not helping others. That was the way I got into this, the way I got into just about everything I've done. So I think, that's a good thing. Tell us a little bit about Maxwell and the leadership team and how that works and why you're involved in it.
Sure thing. Well, John C. Maxwell, world's #1 leadership authority, started off
Mhm.
as a preacher in a small farm town of Indiana, and he eventually grew and moved over to California and grew one of the top 10 fastest growing churches back in the 90s, early 2000s, and eventually branched off into leadership. And he made his one word for life leadership, that he said he was going to be an expert at leadership, and he was able to do that through his years of writing. Has probably at least a good 110 books out there that are published. I'd say at least probably 30 of them, I imagine, are best-selling books, and his books have changed my life and millions of other people because his one just one of his books, Thinking for a Change, that book help me to focus on asking questions that'll actually help me to get a better response out of life. Like one of them is, what good will I do today? Focusing on doing something good in your
Mm.
24 hours that you're allowed to live just for another day. And then at the end of the day, asking, what did I learn today? And then just taking stock of what you learned today. Because at the end of the day, we're all learning something. It can be how to learn how to use Chat GPT and finding out what the heck it is, all the way to finding out that your colleague actually is a big fan of the color purple, not the movie, but the actual color
The
purple
actual
itself.
color.
Like just the small things, just like that, so that way you can better connect with folks. Like, oh, you like purple too? Like, oh, me too. It's like, oh man, purple is a great color. It's like the Baltimore Ravens, right? Yeah, I hope we freaking win the whole thing this year. Nobody gets injured. Like just small
Uh,
things like that, and the fact that really just bettering myself, and as a result, the Maxwell team that came to me when I was going to a leadership training event, and one of the speakers, they had their banner up and they were a John Maxwell team certified coach. And I'm like, wait, what? What the heck is this?
mhm,
And then I found out about it. A friend told me about how it all worked and had a goal to get it done around 2017. Setbacks came, and then 2019 had the chance to go and went to the event. They basically fed me with a fire hose in terms of content. Had a headache when it was all over because there was so much content, but the experience was priceless, almost left in tears because Maxwell himself, he spoke, and he has great a world-class team of facilitators that helps those coaches, speakers, and
mhm.
trainers to really start a business and grow to the next level, or even for personal growth. So the good news is, to be a certified team member, just have to really make that investment, then a time investment as well, and it'll definitely help you to grow. And I see it really as a toolbox, because at the end of the day, I was already a solid speaker and became better through Toastmasters and the leadership. I was already reading his book and got some of that experience in life and through Toastmasters as well. So this is really just another tool in the toolbox that can offer organizations, whether it's really doing lunch and learn events or mastermind events, like even some master classes, if you will, and just helping folks ascend to their next level. So it's really just another tool in the toolbox that's been graced from my favorite author on earth, from him just changing my life to where it's like, wow, I actually love reading again, because I didn't like it at the time from grade
All
school,
right.
but reading his words and others helped me to love it again.
And you're talking about Maxwell. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I am I read a lot of self-help and prosperity and stuff. Do not know why I have not read Maxwell, but uh, it's going to be on my Audible list starting in about 15 minutes when we're done here.
There you go.
It will be. So now this, I'm going to ask you a typical, um, if you're at a job interview question, and you're not, but I want to ask this anyway, because I look at you and I go, man, he's like already successful. I don't know what can happen. Like, where do you see yourself, man, in the next like 5 years, 10 years? What are you doing?
Definitely. Next 5 to 10 years, definitely full-time entrepreneurship. Right now, I have a full-time job in addition to what I'm doing now. So definitely full-time entrepreneurship. About a good 5 more books out. I have a new book coming out in a matter of weeks called True North Microphone, 21 Tips to Start a Successful Podcast and Expand Your Influence. So that's going to be out and also be on audio too, for the folks who don't have time to read, don't feel like reading, or even if you're blind. So some folks
I'm
out
about to
there.
say, because I can't
Yeah.
read. I got this whole eye problem here. So audio
Yeah,
is good
exactly.
for me. Dang. All right. So you're just taking it up to the next level.
Yeah, that's the plan. More time, freedom to really do things at a higher level, because like with some of the things I do now,
Yeah.
it can be hard to balance both. And plus, when your energy's scattered, it's hard to really like laser focus certain things in. So definitely building up to that point where it's like, all right, cool. I can finally say I'm doing this thing full time, and it's like, hey, it's half scary and half amazing at the same time. But hey, it's
I
gonna
think
happen.
those scary things, man, those are the ones that like, they pay off, right? It's the being scared and just doing it anyway. You go like, oh, that wasn't so scary. Yeah, right. At the time it was. Hey, let's learn some extra stuff about you. I want to play a little game with you. I do it with a lot of people. It's called This or That. I'm going to give you two choices. You can pick one or the other, but not neither or both. Okay. So let's learn some more about Dom Brightman here. So first choice, or first pair of choices: writing a book or hosting a podcast.
Hosting a podcast, way
Uh,
easier.
you got so many books though, man. You just told me you're doing like another five in the next few years or something. So I got you. What about public speaking or one-on-one coaching?
Oh, definitely public speaking. Like there, even though I guess I'm an ambivert in a way. I'm a hybrid of both. Like definitely public speaking. Like when I'm on stage, I'm in
Mhm.
my element. I feel like I'm in the best. I
Yeah,
feel like I'm at my best when I'm on stage.
there we go. How about traditional books or ebooks?
Well, traditional all the way, flipping through the pages, highlighting, underlining, like it. I'm a little old school in that way, definitely.
I have to say, I like books too because you can like put your fingers in the pages and you can like write on the side. So there's something to be said about old school books that is amazing. Um, what about listening to a podcast or music while working out?
Oh wow, while working out, definitely music. Like I mean, you could do both, but music definitely.
Oh man, I'm gonna ask you anyway. I think I know the answer to this, but fiction or nonfiction?
No, nonfiction. I can barely read fiction after a while. Like 98% of my personal book collection is nonfiction. So
Mine goes back and forth. So sometimes I'll be, bam, I've got this many books that are like nonfiction sitting on the shelf, and it shrinks down than fiction because I need a break. But yeah. How about networking in person or online?
definitely in person. I definitely want to say in person because it's it's actually good. You get to feel the energy of the person in the room when you're
Yeah.
networking in person. Although all online's pretty good too.
Yeah. When you're writing, are you early bird or a night owl when you have your writing sessions?
It depends. I have to say night owl definitely because I'm a night owl myself actually. So yeah, night's probably better for me.
Okay. How about big audience speech or intimate workshop?
Hmm. You know what?
E-
I'm gonna go with workshop because the thing
Okay.
is, with I'm best on stage, but the workshop is still a stage, but it's at a deeper level where it can dive a little deeper into things, and it's like it's not all show and go with the stories. It's
Mhm.
also some interactive learning. So definitely
Yep.
workshop in that regard.
Gotcha. How about author interviews or inspirational talks?
I guess they could kind of be the same in a way.
Are they the same?
Definitely, well, when I think about podcasts, they're kind of the same because most of them have an inspirational slant to them. But
Mhm.
I guess, definitely, you know what? Let's go with interviews because sometimes if you have if they're being interviewed by a great host who has the right questions, you'll get something new, and plus you'll get a deeper side of them as opposed to a wonderful stage presentation.
There you go. See, that's why you and I are talking right here. We're doing let me see. How just for you personally, like memoirs or self-help books?
Oh, self-help books or what again?
Memoir.
Oh, okay. Definitely self-help in terms of speed. Memoirs are great, but the speed of self-help books, like I could probably get through those quicker because memoirs, like they are good depending on who it is and
Yeah.
how it's written. But yeah, definitely has self-help books.
Yeah, memoirs, like a good memoir is like that's art. I it's
Yeah.
hard. um let's just do one more. How about now I can't decide on this one myself. Okay. Maxwell's leadership principles or Zig Ziglar's performance strategies?
Oh wow, definitely Maxwell's leadership
Yeah.
principles because yeah, I mean his content it's basically a war chest.
Yeah, okay.
It's basically a war chest. I mean, you can't, and he's still making more. So it's like,
You can't really go wrong with it, can you?
ain't no they can go wrong with it. No, you can't.
That's awesome. Dom, I want people to stay in touch with you, man. And we've got some ways for people to do that. You got your website at dombrightman.com. You got your Going North podcast. And by the way, I love the way your stuff is laid out. It's just, it's very, it's beautiful. That's the word I want to use. Okay. So you got your facebook.com at dominique.brightman. And you've also hit it up on LinkedIn /n/Dom Brightman. And we've got you on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And you grabbed all those at Dom Brightman. I love that. I'm going to leave this up on the screen as we bounce out of here so people can see it. And I thank you for being on. This has been like awesome. Thank you so much.
Hey,
We-
thanks again for having me on, man. Like, this is definitely an honor. That just means something's working.
I'm going to hit you up about how to get in that top 2% too. All right. Thanks, Tom. We'll catch all you guys in the future.